Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! The desktop monitor emanated a soft luminescence, transforming the shadows that danced across the room into a soothing ambiance. Trembling digits hesitated above the keys, and for a moment the only sound was the soft whirring of the fan. Then a sharp inhalation, and a decisive tap of keys broke the silence. As Jonah executed the purchase, his eyes remained fixed on the vibrant tartan pattern now etched in his memory. He leaned into the comfortable embrace of his chair, a whirlwind of emotions stirring within him. It was a pivotal moment, one that challenged the very core of his subdued life as a librarian, where order and calm had been his confidants. But tonight, something had snapped. The desire to explore, to understand this part of himself, had finally overpowered his fear. Days passed in a blur of anticipation. Jonah found himself distracted at work, shelving books with less care than usual, his mind constantly drifting to the package that would soon arrive. He caught himself daydreaming, imagining the feel of fabric swishing around his legs, the freedom of movement it might bring. Finally, the day arrived. Jonah's hands trembled as he carried the inconspicuous brown box up to his apartment. He set it on the kitchen counter, staring at it for a long moment before finding the courage to open it. The skirt unfolded from its packaging, a symphony of reds and blues woven into a classic tartan pattern. He retreated to his bedroom, heart pounding as he slipped off his khakis and pulled the skirt on. The waistband settled comfortably at his hips, and he slowly turned to face the full-length mirror on his closet door. A giggle escaped his lips, surprising even himself. The sight was simultaneously foreign and thrilling. His button-up shirt tucked into the plaid skirt, the hem falling just above his knees. Jonah twirled experimentally, delighting in the way the fabric moved with him. He took a few tentative steps, reveling in the unfamiliar sensation of air on his legs. For the first time in years, he felt truly alive, truly himself. That night marked a turning point. Jonah began spending his evenings exploring this newfound aspect of himself. He ordered more clothing online, blouses, dresses, and even a pair of low heels. Each new item brought a fresh wave of excitement and a deeper understanding of who he truly was. As weeks turned into months, Jonah's confidence grew. He started experimenting with makeup, watching countless tutorials, and practicing late into the night. The transformation was gradual, but profound. The quiet, reserved librarian was blossoming into someone new, someone vibrant and self-assured. It was during this period of self-discovery that Jonah first heard the name that would become his own. He was browsing a book of baby names, ostensibly for work, when he came across it. Genevieve. The name resonated with him instantly, feeling right in a way nothing else had before. Genevieve, he whispered to his reflection, testing the sound of it. A smile spread across his face, growing wider as he repeated it. I'm Genevieve. The decision to transition wasn't an easy one, but once made, Genevieve approached it with the same quiet determination she'd always possessed. She began hormone therapy, watching with fascination as her body slowly changed. Her features softened, her hair grew longer, and curves began to develop where once there were none. The library provided an unexpected sanctuary during this time. Surrounded by books, Genevieve found the strength and knowledge to navigate her transition. She devoured memoirs of other transgender individuals, medical texts on hormone therapy, and fashion guides to help cultivate her new style. Her colleagues, while initially surprised, proved to be supportive. The head librarian, a kind-faced woman named Eleanor, took Genevieve aside one day after noticing the changes. "You seem different lately," Eleanor observed, her tone gentle. "Happier, I think. Is everything all right?" Genevieve took a deep breath, steeling herself. "I'm transitioning," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm a woman." Eleanor's face softened into a warm smile. "Well then," she said, reaching out to squeeze Genevieve's hand. "Welcome, Genevieve. We're glad to have you here." That simple acceptance meant the world to Genevieve. It gave her the courage to be more open about her transition, to embrace her true self, not just in private, but in all aspects of her life. As her confidence grew, so did her sense of style. The plaid skirt that had started it all still held a special place in her heart, but Genevieve's wardrobe expanded to include a variety of fashionable outfits. She discovered a love for vintage-inspired dresses, bold prints, and the perfect shade of red lipstick. One sunny afternoon, Genevieve stood before her mirror, putting the finishing touches on her outfit for the day. She smoothed down the fabric of her blue dress, admiring the way it hugged her curves. Her blonde hair, now shoulder-length, was styled in soft waves. With a final swipe of mascara, she stepped back to take in the full effect. The woman staring back at her was a far cry from the timid librarian of months past. Genevieve exuded confidence, her posture straight and her smile radiant. She grabbed her purse and headed out, ready to face the world as her true self. The library had always been Genevieve's haven, but now it felt even more like home. She moved through the stacks with a newfound grace, her blue dress swishing softly as she reshelved books and assisted patrons. The regulars who had known her as Jonah were initially startled by the change, but most adjusted quickly, treating her with the same respect they always had. One afternoon, as Genevieve was organizing a display of new arrivals, a young woman approached the desk. She had a hesitant air about her, clutching a stack of books to her chest like a shield. "Excuse me," the woman said softly. "I was wondering if you could help me find some resources on gender identity?" Genevieve's heart swelled with empathy. She remembered all too well the fear and uncertainty of those early days of questioning. With a gentle smile, she stepped out from behind the desk. "Of course," she said warmly. "I'd be happy to help. We have quite a good selection on that topic. Is there anything specific you're looking for?" The woman's shoulders relaxed slightly at Genevieve's friendly demeanor. "I'm not really sure," she admitted. I've been feeling confused lately, and I thought maybe reading about other people's experiences might help." Genevieve nodded understandingly. "That's a great place to start. Why don't we take a look at what we have? I can recommend a few titles that I found particularly helpful when I was on my own journey of self-discovery." As they walked through the library, Genevieve shared her own experiences, careful not to overwhelm the woman, but offering reassurance and support. By the time they had assembled a small stack of books, the woman was smiling, her earlier nervousness gone. "Thank you so much," she said, as Genevieve checked out the books for her. "You have no idea how much this means to me." Genevieve reached out and squeezed the woman's hand. "You're not alone," she said softly. "Remember that." As the woman left, clutching her books like a lifeline, Genevieve felt a surge of pride. She had found her purpose, not just in living authentically as herself, but in helping others on their own journeys of self-discovery. The months flew by, and Genevieve continued to flourish. She became known not just for her extensive knowledge of literature, but for her kind heart and impeccable style. The library hosted a series of LGBTQ+ inclusive events, with Genevieve often taking the lead in organizing and moderating discussions. One evening, as she was locking up the library, Genevieve caught sight of her reflection in the glass door. Her blue dress glowed in the soft light of the setting sun, her blonde hair gently tousled by the breeze. She smiled at herself, marveling at how far she'd come. The walk home was pleasant, the evening air warm against her skin. Genevieve's heels clicked rhythmically on the sidewalk, a sound that still filled her with a sense of joy and rightness. As she approached her apartment building, she noticed a new neighbor struggling with a box of books. "Need a hand?" Genevieve called out, already moving to help. The woman looked up, relief washing over her face. "Oh, thank you. I didn't realize how heavy books could be." Together, they managed to get the box up to the woman's apartment. As they set it down, the woman extended her hand. "I'm Olivia," she said with a warm smile. "I just moved in." "Genevieve," she replied, shaking Olivia's hand. "Welcome to the building. Are you a big reader?" Olivia laughed, gesturing to the box of books. "What gave it away? I'm actually a writer, or trying to be, anyway." The two women fell into easy conversation, discovering a shared love of literature. Before Genevieve knew it, an hour had passed, filled with discussions of favorite authors and book recommendations. "I can't believe how late it's gotten," Olivia said, glancing at her watch. "I've really enjoyed talking with you, Genevieve. Would you maybe like to grab coffee sometime? I'd love to hear more about your work at the library." Genevieve felt a flutter in her chest. "I'd like that," she said, surprised by how much she meant it. As she finally made her way to her own apartment, Genevieve couldn't stop smiling. She had come so far from that night when she first ordered the plaid skirt. She had found herself, found her confidence, and now, perhaps, found a new friend. The next morning, Genevieve stood before her closet, contemplating her outfit for the day. Her hand brushed past the old plaid skirt, now rarely worn but kept as a reminder of where her journey began. Instead, she pulled out a flowing blue dress, one that made her feel elegant and powerful. As she got ready, Genevieve thought about the coffee date with Olivia. It had been a long time since she'd allowed herself to consider the possibility of a relationship. For so long, her focus had been entirely on her transition and finding her place in the world as her true self. But now, she felt ready to open her heart, to share her life with someone who could appreciate her for who she truly was. At the library, Genevieve threw herself into her work with renewed energy. She organized a new display featuring LGBTQ+ authors, carefully selecting books that showcased a diverse range of experiences and voices. As she arranged the books, she overheard two teenage girls whispering excitedly about one of the titles. "Excuse me," one of the girls said, approaching Genevieve. "Do you have any other books by this author? Their story, it really resonated with me." Genevieve smiled warmly. "Of course! Let me show you some similar titles you might enjoy." As she guided the girls through the stacks, pointing out various books and sharing brief synopses, Genevieve felt a deep sense of fulfillment. This was why she loved her job, the ability to connect people with stories that could change their lives, just as books had changed hers. The day flew by in a whirlwind of activity. Before she knew it, it was time to close up and head to the coffee shop to meet Olivia. Genevieve took a moment to check her appearance in the reflection of her computer screen, smoothing down her blue dress and tucking a strand of blonde hair behind her ear. The coffee shop was cozy and warm, the rich aroma of freshly ground beans filling the air. Olivia was already there, waving from a small table in the corner. As Genevieve made her way over, she couldn't help but notice how Olivia's eyes lit up. "You look lovely," Olivia said as Genevieve sat down. "That blue really suits you." Genevieve felt a blush creep up her cheeks. "Thank you," she replied, smoothing her dress. "How are you settling into the new place?" They fell into easy conversation, discussing everything from Olivia's writing to Genevieve's work at the library. As they talked, Genevieve found herself captivated by Olivia's quick wit and genuine interest in her life. "So, how long have you been working at the library?" Olivia asked, taking a sip of her latte. Genevieve paused, considering her answer. This was always a tricky moment, deciding how much to share about her past. But something about Olivia made her want to be open. "I've been there for about 5 years now," she began. "But it's only been in the last year or so that I've truly felt like myself there." Olivia tilted her head, curiosity evident in her expression. "What changed?" Taking a deep breath, Genevieve decided to take the plunge. "I transitioned," she said softly. "I'm transgender. For most of my life, I lived as someone I wasn't. It wasn't until I embraced my true self as a woman that I really started to thrive in my job and in my life." She held her breath, watching Olivia's face carefully for any sign of discomfort or rejection. To her relief, Olivia's expression remained open and warm. "Thank you for sharing that with me," Olivia said, reaching across the table to squeeze Genevieve's hand. "I can only imagine how much courage that must have taken. You're an incredible woman, Genevieve." Tears pricked at the corners of Genevieve's eyes, overwhelmed by the simple acceptance in Olivia's words. They spent the next hour talking about Genevieve's journey, with Olivia listening intently and asking thoughtful questions. As the evening wore on, Genevieve found herself not wanting it to end. There was an ease to their interaction, a comfort she hadn't experienced in a long time. "I hate to say it, but I should probably head home," Olivia said reluctantly, glancing at her watch. "I have an early meeting with my editor tomorrow." Genevieve nodded, trying to hide her disappointment. "Of course. This was lovely, though. We should do it again sometime." Olivia's face lit up. "I'd love that. How about dinner next week? I know a great little Italian place not far from here." "It's a date," Genevieve replied, her heart skipping a beat at the prospect. They walked back to their apartment building together, their conversation flowing easily. At Olivia's door, they paused, both seemingly reluctant to say goodnight. "Thank you for tonight," Genevieve said softly. "It means a lot to me that you were so understanding about everything." Olivia smiled, reaching out to tuck a strand of Genevieve's blonde hair behind her ear. "Thank you for trusting me with your story. You're an amazing woman, Genevieve. I'm looking forward to getting to know you better." With a soft kiss on the cheek that left Genevieve's skin tingling, Olivia said goodnight and disappeared into her apartment. Genevieve made her way to her own home, her head spinning with the events of the evening. As she got ready for bed, Genevieve caught sight of herself in the mirror. Her blue dress was slightly wrinkled from a long day of wear, her makeup a bit smudged, but her eyes were bright with happiness. She looked like a woman who was comfortable in her own skin, confident in who she was. Genevieve fell asleep that night with a smile on her face, excited for what the future might hold. She had come so far from the person she used to be, from the night she first ordered that plaid skirt. She had found herself, found her voice, and now, perhaps, found someone to share her life with. The next morning, Genevieve woke up feeling refreshed and energized. She stood in front of her closet, contemplating her outfit for the day. Her hand brushed past several dresses before settling on a sleek blue pantsuit. It was a new addition to her wardrobe, one that made her feel powerful and professional. As she buttoned up the jacket, Genevieve thought about how far she'd come in her style journey, from tentatively trying on that first plaid skirt to confidently wearing whatever made her feel good. It was a transformation that mirrored her internal growth. At the library, Genevieve threw herself into her work with renewed vigor. She had a busy day ahead, including a meeting with the board to discuss expanding their LGBTQ+ literature section. As she prepared her presentation, she couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. Not long ago, she would have been too afraid to even suggest such a thing. Now, she was leading the charge. The meeting went better than she could have hoped. The board was receptive to her ideas, and by the end, they had approved a budget for new acquisitions, and even discussed the possibility of hosting regular LGBTQ+ author events. "Excellent work, Genevieve," the head librarian said as they left the meeting room. "Your passion for this project really shone through. I'm proud of the work you're doing here." Genevieve beamed, smoothing down her blue jacket. "Thank you. It means a lot to me to be able to make a difference." As she made her way back to the main floor of the library, Genevieve noticed a young person hovering near the help desk, looking uncertain. Their style was androgynous, and they seemed to be gathering the courage to approach. Genevieve stepped up to the desk, offering a warm smile. "Can I help you find something?" The person looked up, relief washing over their face. "I hope so. I'm looking for books on gender identity, and maybe some fiction with transgender characters." "Of course," Genevieve said, her voice gentle. "We have quite a good selection. Why don't I show you?" As they walked through the stacks, Genevieve shared some of her favorite titles, careful to include a diverse range of experiences and perspectives. The young person, who introduced themselves as Alex, seemed to relax more with each book Genevieve pulled from the shelves. "Thank you so much," Alex said as Genevieve helped them check out a stack of books. "I've been wanting to look into this stuff for a while, but I was nervous about asking." Genevieve smiled, remembering her own journey. "There's no need to be nervous here. This is a safe space for everyone to explore and learn about themselves." Alex nodded, clutching the books to their chest. "Can I ask, how did you know that you were transgender, I mean?" Genevieve paused, considering her words carefully. "It was a gradual realization for me. I always felt different, but it took time to understand why. Reading books like these, talking to others in the community, it all helped me piece together who I truly was." Alex's eyes widened. "You're—" Genevieve nodded. "I am. And I want you to know that whatever you discover about yourself, it's okay. You're valid and you're not alone." Tears welled up in Alex's eyes. "Thank you," they whispered. "You have no idea how much that means to me."
Thanks
As
for
Alex
watching, my
left,
girlies.
clutching their
Be sure to
books
check out
like a
Patreon
lifeline.
for more.